Jerod Mayo is the new coach. And, Bob Kraft, when he did meet with the media, says we're going to move relatively quickly. And it appears the fact that they're able to move that quickly is that it was already in Mayo's contract. So Belichick probably knew that too, right? I mean, was that a dynamic playing out behind the scenes that he knew as the next coach was right there? Tom?
Whether he knew it was written into the contract or not, Rich, I can't say.
Okay.
But the fact that I can't say it is because I don't know. But the fact that Robert Kraft referred to Jerod Mayo as an heir apparent in March at the owners' meetings, the fact that he sent out a press release, which was unprecedented, saying that we are working on renegotiating a contract with Jerod Mayo to keep him here long term. And then when the title that he got was just linebackers coach, there were a lot of reasons to understand that Jerod Mayo was the person that they wanted to succeed Bill Belichick. And there are a lot of reasons to recommend Jerod Mayo as the next head coach, whether it be his personality, his charisma, his ability to lead, his knowledge about football, or the simple fact that the Patriots defense under Jerod Mayo and Steve Belichick was friggin' lights out all year. I mean, Bill was spending his time primarily in offensive meetings and with the offensive line. The defense was not something he was coaching on a day-to-day basis. It was absolutely his blueprint. All those guys know everything they know about NFL defense and coaching because of Bill, but it was that defense is Jerod Mayo and Steve Belichick's and the players this year executing what Bill's blueprint was. So, yeah, long story short, Bill probably certainly understood, and I think that I know there were times this year where the dynamic was extremely awkward between them. So it's funny, Rich. Do you think it was a misstep?
What do you mean?
By the Crafts?
To do what?
Do you think it was a misstep by the Crafts to put that language in Jerod's contract because they didn't want him to go elsewhere?
No, I think it now proves if they wanted him, if this entire time they're like, this is the guy. They've seen it. They hear how players react to him behind the scenes. They see how he reacts to them. They see how he handles things, and they love him. It makes no mistake for them to put it in there because it allows them to strike quickly. The question, I think, and then we'll see if it's a mistake based on how he's actually the coach. And I do want to ask you a couple of questions on what things might look like with Mayo at the helm. But it does beg the question. Mike Vrabel sitting out there, and I'm sure there's a ton of folks up there where you've parked your car to have this conversation, which I greatly appreciate, are going to be like, wait a minute, we know you love Mayo, and we know he's there, and we know him, and we know he's been a Patriot forever, but Vrabel's free. You gave him a red jacket. Was there no consideration of Mike Vrabel because this language is in the contract, Tom?
They didn't deviate. They've been extremely methodical in everything they've done. And the indications I got this week after Vrabel became available is we love Mike Vrabel. But the direction that we'll be going in will not be impacted by the presence of Mike Vrabel. We've been methodical in what we've done, and we intend to go through with this the way we intended to. Now, had it not been written into the contract, would that be different? There's no way of really knowing. I will say this. The intention in signing Jerod Mayo to a 2-year deal in the offseason and signing Belichick to a 2-year deal at some point this past offseason was that the two guys' contracts would expire at the same time, and then Mayo would elevate. That was supposed to happen after 2025. God willing that Bill was going to break Shula's record, but no one, and that's the thing is nobody saw 4-13. I didn't see it. You didn't see it. Nobody saw it. A bad Patriots season means 7 wins, not 4, not 2 wins after 12 games or whatever it was.
So what does it look like with Jerod Mayo in charge? I mean, again, what does everything look like with anybody not named Belichick in charge, right? I mean, there's been one way of doing things for 24 years in that building and in that organization. What's your best guess on how everything looks, Tom?
Much more collaborative, Rich. You're not going to be able to see that on the outside. But as Robert Kraft said yesterday, you need his managers, and he tried to not make this about Bill, but he said, look, every good manager needs some Dr. No's around them, people who will say, this isn't a great idea. This isn't something that we ought to be doing, who will give pushback and feedback unfettered. And over the course of 24 years here, everybody's brain was formed by Bill relative to football, whether it be personnel or coaching. So some guys, even if they pulled at the reins a little bit, it's hard to go against Bill and his authority. So you'll see a more collaborative approach here, I think. I think the tenor of the organization will change fairly drastically, from being kind of the Kremlin to, I don't know if it's, a new day in America, continue with, but it's morning in America, right? That's it. But it's going to change in that way as well. But the bottom line is, if Jerod Mayo and whoever is in charge of personnel can't get the quarterback right and can't get the offense to a point where they don't score 6 times offensively, touchdowns. I mean, Rich, they had 6 games where they didn't score a touchdown. If they can't improve that, then Jerod Mayo will be out like Bill was out. I would imagine he'll get a little more time because he's taking over an expansion level offense. But this is critical that you get the right players. Any
idea what number 3 overall is going to look like? You don't have any idea. Nobody does.
No, I don't. Because, so many things can happen. Even on that night, say Drake May drops to 3, and now Jaden Daniels and Drake May are sitting there, and somebody's taking Marvin Harrison. And there's a team behind you that says, my God, we need to have Drake May. Well, all of a sudden, that 3rd overall pick can set you up for not just this draft, but the next draft. So the Philadelphia Eagles were able to execute that a few years ago. They manufactured a loss against the New York Giants. They went from 11 to 6, traded again, went down, got Devontae Smith. And the next year they got, I can't remember who it was, but it was a talented defensive lineman from Georgia. So
it's Jordan
hard
Davis
to say who you'll get.
Yeah, it's
Correct.
Jordan Davis. Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Do you get the quarterback before you put the foundation in, or do you get the foundation first? And if you, knowing that you're probably, God willing, not going to be up in the top 5 again if you start to get things right.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.